stop, don't do it.
Get me out of here!
Mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. You, Sadler. You, dude. You. Modding games is not only the best way of having a new, fresh experience in a game that you've played dozens of times already, but also a great way of challenging yourself in ways you would never have imagined. A popular example of one of these challenges is called a randomizer. Randomizers take something static from the original game, like an item or an enemy, and it changes them to be something completely different. This can be done as many times as you want by using a seed generator, where each seed will change things based on a very large pool of possibilities. One day, my buddy Bach decided to start up a new challenge run where he would attempt to beat the original Resident Evil 4 randomizer on professional difficulty, but with a twist. Permadeath. Dying means going back to the beginning with a completely new generated seed of the randomizer. It randomizes Leon's starting inventory, the merchant pricing, the gun firepower, and, most importantly to this challenge, enemies. Because there's nothing more dangerous to this challenge than having multiple Verdugos or Krausers or even Super Salvadors show up in a small area to one-shot you.
FBI, open up!
He inspired me to take this challenge on, and while both of us were able to beat it, I wanted to take things up a notch. I wanted to beat the Resident Evil 4 randomizer on professional difficulty without dying and without using the merchant.
Thank you.
Let's go over a few things before we start. First things first. If you're still watching, you clearly want the highest quality speedrun, challenge run, or the horror game content in general. I mean, come on. I suggest subscribing because I got plenty of that. So, the challenge. If it wasn't already obvious, I will not be buying, selling, or upgrading at the merchant. This means that whatever starting weapon the randomizer decides to give me, it'll be my main weapon, along with the 3 static weapons that are available to pick up throughout the game. These are the shotgun, the broken butterfly, and the single free rocket launcher. Due to how dangerous some of the possible enemy spawns are in this challenge, I have decided that the best weapon I could possibly start with was the Matilda. The Matilda's base stats, magazine size, and DPS are practically needed in order to survive certain situations. These situations mainly involve dangerous enemy groups as well as what they are replacing. If an enemy replaces a boss or a mini-boss, they'll have that health. And if a boss or mini-boss replaces a regular enemy, they'll have the health of the original enemy. As you can imagine, this is very confusing and quite dangerous. With that said, I would also like to mention that Delago, Salazar, U3, Krauser, and Sadler all have their boss fights intact, but Krauser and U3 can show up in other spots. Now let's move on to the technicalities of what is regarded as a failed attempt. Leon dying, Ashley dying, or Ashley being taken through a door all result in failure. I am also not allowed to reset the checkpoint to avoid dying. The only times that checkpoint resets are allowed are for tactical reasons, and I'll be doing 2 tactical resets during this challenge, both of which are to despawn a few enemies or position Ashley differently. The final thing to mention before we get into this run is that I'm playing the game's original Steam port with no other mods except for the randomizer on 60 frames per second using an Xbox One controller. Right, now with all of that explained, let's finally dive into this run.
$19.98.
I'll never forget it. It's the emote that was spammed every time that I restarted this damn challenge, which always started the same. I would roll seeds until I get the Matilda, and then I would find the enemy that replaced the crow with a grenade, kill it, get the nade, adjust my inventory, and run to initiate the bingo pre-gaming ritual. Usually, whatever spawns here is not worth fighting, and you just run around for 5 minutes. It's kinda silly. Thankfully, I was able to speed this up with some friendly fire from these dynamite ladies. The farm and the house area are usually not so bad, and make for a quick run to Chapter 1-2. However, 1-2 does start with Death Valley. Trust me, it's an appropriate name because, for whatever reason, dealing with any other enemies apart from regular village Ganados is just so awkward with the way that this valley is designed. With that said, I actually had Island Ganados here, and that is a terrible enemy to get in the early game. With all of my experience with this game, dealing with them isn't so bad, but even then I'm pretty scared because, well, if you get hit by an electric baton, you're surely going to get stun locked by another one. This is also where I would like to mention how important yellow herbs are to this challenge. Much like these electric batons, there are a ton of enemies in this game that will practically just kill Leon automatically in the early game on Professional, because the game expects you to have increased your health by the time you encounter them. Even in the late game, they can 3 or even 2-shot Leon, so regardless, it's very important to pick these up and use them. After a quick run to the Chief's house, the start of 1-3 is a great example of how certain enemies will aggro the moment that Leon's entered the same room as them. This happens quite often with enemies such as Krauser or Super Salvador. They all immediately aggro towards Leon, despite him starting on the second floor of Mendez's house, while all of them are outside completely out of view. Luckily, I got Chainsaw Men, Chainsaw Ladies, more Chainsaw Ladies, and then regular Ganados before I reached everyone's favorite boss fight, Delago! Whoa, way too dank. Certainly nobody, such as myself, thinks that it's the worst boss fight in the entire series. No, that would be blasphemy. Anyways, 2-1. Very, very simple, but poses the first real roadblock. El Gigante. For obvious reasons, replacing El Gigante with a different boss could become problematic, depending on one's experience with RE4. In my case, over 1800 hours of experience means I'm basically ready for anything. While one may soil themselves at the sight of Krauser or a Regenerator, I am more than ready to take them on, but luckily for me, or basically anyone else trying this, a Gyarados appeared, which is probably the best luck you can get here. With that taken care of, it's time to head towards one of the biggest run killers in the entire game. Ashley. Yeah, she's a problem normally, so you could imagine how big of a problem she is now. And it doesn't help that when I exited the church, yeah, I almost ran past the wagon without shooting it, which would have surely killed us with 2 Super Salvadors on the other end of it. Thankfully, the wagon killed both of them, and I was on my way to the first actual big run killer, the cabin. I'm serious this time. This is an actual one. Ashley was kind of a joke. This is serious now. Enemies that spawn here in the cabin are usually just variants of Ganados, but there's an issue here. This set-piece area was built to have regular villager Ganados, so when you give the game the chance to spawn things such as dynamite, or rockets, or crossbows, they may not work as intended. I've had many situations here at the cabin where rockets and crossbows have actually phased through certain walls and objects to hit me. That's right, Mendez gave the village the green light to straight up cheat.
Skill issue.
Shameful, really. But fortunately for me, mostly all of the Ganados here spawned with dynamite, which means I was actually able to avoid the cheaters and get a lot of free kills. Admittedly, this village had been quite kind to me thus far, so I was starting to worry about the castle. Before we get there though, 2-3 has the El Gigante and Mendez. Taking the right path after cabin is recommended in this challenge for reasons that are probably obvious, but if you didn't figure it out, there's one randomized enemy on the right path, and then there's like 30 on the left path, so pretty easy choice there if you ask me. So I take the right path and Verdugo spawns. This may seem like a bad spawn, but it's actually a great one, because it won't actually appear in its boss phase. It's in a strange, like, pre-boss phase, I guess you could say. It's when it's doing its QTE attacks at you from the ceiling, which in this case the ceiling is mid-air.
Fuck!
So yeah, that looks pretty silly. After all of that, we witnessed the Gondola Ganados jump to their doom to avoid Leon, and then it's off to the Mendez fight. Now, you're safe to assume that Mendez is randomized, and in this run he turned into Super Salvador. That's fine, I can just use an incendiary grenade and pump him with some bullets. But what you're not safe to assume is that the second phase Mendez will randomize, because his upper torso doesn't, but his legs sure do. Yep, you heard me right. Mendez literally splits in two for the second phase, and instead of his torso randomizing, his legs do. His legs! In this run, I got U3. While it's not necessarily hard to dodge U3, it makes this fight really tricky. I don't have time to truly do enough damage to Mendez with my Matilda or my shotgun without taking damage from Mendez himself, or getting one-shot by U3. I have no choice but to try and dodge U3, while also hoping that Mendez will climb to a spot where I can use the patented incendiary grenade strat. This is extremely tedious, and it can take a while, but it's just better to be safe rather than sorry in this scenario. After conquering that last hurdle of the village, it was time to move on to the castle. Normally, I love the castle, but in this challenge, I absolutely dreaded this place. Without access to the merchant, the amount of good luck that I need for the next 8 chapters is crucial for even reaching the island, and this will become more and more apparent as we get deeper into it, but let's start with 3-1 of course. I would say most players know this chapter as the one with the water hall, but, before we get there, we have to traverse a few more rooms. The catapult area, the swords room, the castle door key room, and the Garrador area. It's crucial to take the time to kill all of the Ganados that spawn at these catapults in order to take no risks with Ashley. After very carefully tackling the catapults, you can blast that gate down and head to the swords room. Now, there's a cool little speedrun strat here that also applies to pretty much all challenges. You can tell Ashley to wait, pick up the gold sword upstairs, and then exit the room. This prevents extra Ganados from spawning below, and it allows you to place the gold sword and proceed upstairs without any worry. Then, it's time to get that key, which, well, it can be incredibly messy sometimes. Mendez, dogs, or chainsaws are all pretty bad, but I got red robe Ganados. Now, while they may not be tanky or as dangerous, red robes have a high chance of spawning level 2 Plagas. That can lead to wasting a lot of ammo, but fortunately I had plenty of shotgun ammo to use. After having Ashley die here in the Garrador area multiple times in previous attempts, I started to leave her at this door. This is highly suggested because this room loves spawning the Garrador where the other Ganados are supposed to spawn. Carefully clearing out this room is the final step to get to Waterhall. Now, depending on the enemy type in Waterhall, being low on health or ammo for this room can be a nightmare, and on occasions, a death sentence. I got very unlucky here with super tanky island Ganados who pose quite the threat to any player, experienced or not. This forced me to use the grenade strat at the start of the room, and then really take my time in the bottom room, clearing out as many as I could before going back up to the crank. At this moment, I have Ashley do the cranking, and I just try to defend her as best as I can. I had to use a flash nade to free Ashley from the grubby hands of one of these Ganados, and then I used my first tactical checkpoint reset. This is one of the only ones that I really allowed in the challenge, as it's a pretty well-known one used for years in speedruns as well as other various challenges. Even though the island Ganados are, well, not nice, they pose less of a problem than some other enemy types here in the defending Ashley section. God forbid you get something like dynamite guys, or a bunch of crossbows, or JJ. JJ, I hate JJ. All my homies hate JJ.
I'm like, what do you say fuck me for?
Anyways, that's 3-1. a pretty big hurdle in these challenges, but on occasion, 3-2 can be a nasty follow-up chapter. Many randomizers have succumbed to some awful luck here in 3-2, mainly in these tight spaces in the jail area, as well as the gallery with the red zealot enemy. Luckily for me, I had a bit of a break with turret drones, bear traps, regular villager granados, and even just regular chainsaw men. The gallery room is easy with these enemy types, but it is risky to do any type of fast strategy in the next room. It's best to stay in this thin room and let them funnel in for easy kills until there are absolutely no more chainsaws. Although, there's a slight problem with this. It is also a problem that I have yet to mention in this video. The chainsaws are silent. Yeah, that's right. If the room doesn't have chainsaws in the vanilla game, the randomized chainsaw enemies will not make any noise. I mean, I must have restarted maybe 30 plus times just to random chainsaws that I couldn't hear that were off screen. So yeah, kinda nice to get out of that room, and with it complete, the fountain area and the maze are usually easy peasy. Hell, the fountain was actually really nice. Look at this little guy. He's the Lord of the Fountain. Now, Chapter 3-3 is extremely short and really only involves throwing a hand grenade to leave the cage immediately, and then running over to the door that leads to 3-4. It's incredibly short. Nothing really ever happens in this chapter. Much like how in 3-4, nothing ever happens to Ashley. Leon just shoots those bars right off, doesn't hit her at all, ever, or accidentally light her on fire with a grenade. That would be very silly, and definitely not throwing for content. So, shield guys, they're pretty common here, and that's what I got. They're pretty easy to take care of, and then it's time for Ashley's section. The worst possible spawns here in Ashley's section are Mendez, Garradors, and Armaduras. I got very, very lucky here, and all I got was a random tripwire and a crow. Yeah, cute little crow. The rest of the rooms here are not randomized, as the game would, I guess, completely break. Therefore, we finished up the chapter, and Ashley flies back into the arms of Leon. Great for her, bad for us. Ah yes, the imported lava room. The first room to showcase the possibility of an enemy not having a weapon, but instead continuously reach for one. You've heard of the Baja Men, now meet the Itchy Bum Men. Get it? Because like the animation of them reaching for their weapon over and over again, but not having one, it looks like they're itching their ass. Maybe I should explain why I'm not backtracking for the rocket launcher. Yeah, let's do that. So there are two reasons for this. The first one is the attach case space. I simply don't have enough room to take the rocket launcher all the way to Salazar without throwing the shotgun away completely, and throwing the shoddy away is ultimately throwing away the only thing that I have to knock groups of enemies away, so that's just a bad idea. As for the broken butterfly, well, it comes down to my second reasoning behind this choice. Grenades. I need room for as many emergency grenades as I can. The incendiary and flash nades are the only way to handle certain enemies in groups like Super Salvadors or JJ's or Mendez's. I would rather have those for utility and emergency as opposed to taking the broken butterfly, which might not even have high damage because, well, remember, the firepower's random. It could be 5 damage for all I know. Now with all that said, let's move on with 4-1. So we get back to Ashley, we place the Chimera pieces into the puzzle, and travel over to the King and Queen Grail hallway. The Queen's Grail room is simple, and usually has 2 enemies that simply walk through the back wall and die in one shot. On the other hand, the King's Grail room is the next big run killer, and is actually one of the biggest run killers in the entire challenge for, well, pretty much everybody. 2 enemy pools result in possible failure here. Chainsaw Men and Mendez and Dogs. Now I got the worst of those 2, which is the chainsaws. The biggest issue with this room in the randomizer is that the knights in this room that don't move in the original game are still randomized into enemies. When that happens, they have the ability to phase through the left wall here. So if you get chainsaws, they can not only fly through this wall, but they're also completely silent. That means that they can one-shot either Leon or Ashley. What's even worse is that they don't only aggro Leon. You can't just leave Ashley at the door and fight them further into the room. They will actually run straight to Ashley through that wall and instantly kill her. So, you are forced to sit in the corner at the entrance door and simply react to whatever happens the best you can. I had plenty of ammo and flash nades to take care of them, but as you can see right here, I almost died because this chainsaw guy decided to wait an eternity before revealing himself. It's safe to say, I was relieved to be done with this cursed room and be rewarded by chickens. Hey there, Soup Troop. Now it's time to let the Novistadors take Ashley, thank God, and move on to the clock tower, which spawned dogs and a few Mendezes. Thankfully, there were only 2 guarding the door out of here, and I was able to dodge them pretty cleanly. Not only that, but I got Torch and Dynamite Ladies to replace the Garradors in the next room. Easy kills. Salad Bar sets off his trap and unfortunately does not hear the sound of one's impalement, so I make my way to Verdugo. Now, the best spawns here are Second Phase Mendez, Krauser, and U3. Second Phase Mendez seems to just get stuck, Krauser is easy to kill with a knife if you know how, and U3 only spawns as Second Phase U3. That means that if it spawns in a boss room that requires you to kill the boss to open a door, it will lead to the door opening automatically because it thinks you've killed First Phase. In this run, I got Super Salvador, which, well, that sucks. He tanks a ton of damage in this room, and I even miscalculated the damage with the incendiary nades and shotgun ammo. So yeah, shooting him with the Matilda here was a little scary because I almost died. That ends 4-1 and brings us to the very short chapter of 4-2. I start by edge guarding these Colt Ganados, which makes blowing up the boulder a little safer, and the only truly dangerous part about this section is the double Gigante room after the boulder. Now, only one of them randomizes, so that's nice, but during the last 5 days of me trying this challenge, I would constantly get JJ. This run was no exception to that, and the only way of dealing with this is to instantly throw a flash grenade as soon as they spawn, and then pump him with handgun ammo before the Gigante recovers from the flash grenade. Now, you probably are thinking, Maxi, you've got a perfect strategy for this, why is this so bad? Well, it's because I want to preserve that handgun ammo that I'm forced to use on JJ. The reason why is because of Salazar. I mentioned at the beginning of the castle that I needed good luck to even reach the island, and it all has to do with the amount of handgun ammo I'm able to preserve before Salazar. If I reach him without enough, it's possible I might just softlock. In the vanilla game, Salazar spawns Plagos constantly for you to kill at the bottom of the arena in order to get ammo back. In Randomizer, that doesn't happen. Whatever randomizes, you better hope they drop something. And if they do, you better hope it's ammo, because if not, you might be screwed. With that said, 4-2 is done, and we move on to everyone's favorite thrill ride. Luckily, there are no island Ganados or chainsaws anywhere in this chapter, so it was pretty safe. While 4-3 usually provides a bit of a challenge, it seemingly decided to play nice. Whenever this randomizer plays nice though, I do expect the worst in the upcoming chapters. Let's see if that pans out. 4-4, starting with Big Salazar Robot Room, which was a little awkward. Tripwires and Iron Maidens. Bit of a weird combination, and my only option here is to just shoot the tripwires with the shotgun to, preserve the handgun ammo, and then use flash nades on Iron Maidens that I think are just going to get a free hit on me. After the cute chase sequence with Robo Salazar, it was time to ascend the tower. There are a number of terrible enemy combinations for this tower. Electric batons, shield guys, crossbows, rockets. It's a similar case to the cabin that I mentioned earlier. Certain enemies aren't supposed to spawn, which actually just results in things not really working as intended. In this case, I got island ganados with electric batons and, well, crossbows. And as I mentioned earlier, crossbows can sometimes just straight up shoot through walls. So when I saw that first crossbow spawn, I was pretty scared of what would come with the elevator. While I was freaking out about trying to keep the electric baton guys from stun locking me to death, I was afraid that a crossbow would spawn and just shoot through a wall and ruin everything. But I got incredibly lucky because no crossbows spawned at the top, which means that they weren't going to shoot through the walls. It was all baton ganados. Very relieved, I headed towards Salazar with absolutely no idea if I was about to be able to beat him. Considering that this is one of the most intense fights in this particular challenge, I'm going to explain a couple of things, and then I'm just going to leave it unedited for all of you to enjoy. Seeing as ammo is a problem here, I can't waste any shooting his eye to open up Salazar's body. Therefore, I have to bait out his one-chomp kill attack and move to the left in order to get my damage in. This is obviously risky, but it's the only reliable way of doing this. Last thing to mention is that going down to the bottom of the arena is usually very risky. But instead of Plaga, or some terrible set of enemies, I got tripwires and one singular Verdugo. While this is a pretty safe set of enemies, it also means that I don't get any extra ammo from killing them, so I only get what's in the barrels and what's already spawned on the floor in the arena. With that said, here is the fight in its entirety. I'm gonna enter, exit, and re-enter. I hear Verdugo. Which isn't very good. So I'm definitely gonna have to try and avoid going downstairs. No, don't do the cycle. Yep. Okay, do this cycle. Or not? Okay, do this next cycle. What are you doing, Salazar? Okay, do this next cycle, please. What the fuck are you doing, bro? No! These are the worst cycles you could pick right now, Salazar. You can't be doing this to me. Okay, do this next cycle. This one right here. What the fu- Dude, stop. Don't do it. Okay, do the next cycle. Right here. This one, right here. Thank you. No, yeah, it's like Salazar literally knows what I'm trying to do. He's learned. He has learned from previous attempts. Oh, I didn't pick up the handgun ammo over there. Okay, it's fine. Now, he didn't miss. I had iframes from Salazar's attack. Bad cycle. And got some hits in though. It was good. Damage. That actually wasn't as bad of a cycle as I thought it would be. Oh, do this next cycle. This next cycle would be really good. Yeah! Good damage. Oh, fuck. Okay. So, unfortunately, I do have to jump down here. I specifically need... He's stuck. How did I get him stuck? I don't even care how I got him stuck. I got him stuck. Fuck him. He can rot for all I care. Yeah, I need to go get ammo. So... reload the handgun. A bit unfortunate timing, but get some shots in still. I wouldn't mind if you did it on this cycle. Yeah, that's fine. I'll take that. Yes. As you can see, fighting him any other way would have possibly led to a softlock, so it was important to play it exactly how I did. With one of the hardest parts of the challenge complete, it was time to head over to the island, where the game surely had to pull out all the tricks if it wanted to stop me. And oh boy, it did. Right away, the island decided to surprise me with a bunch of regular granados, only to jabait me into feeling comfortable. Right after that, it threw 2 Super Salvadors at me in this hallway, followed by a JJ at the electronic gate who had a ton of health, and then followed up by Plagas that I had to use a flash on, and then double Krauser in the regenerator hallway. As I've mentioned before, getting Krauser is actually really good luck for me when it's one of them. But 2 Krausers constantly attacking becomes quite an issue. Without getting really good luck, it's almost impossible to actually knife them both 3 or 4 times to kill them. They just lock you in a series of QTEs and dodges, or they snake edge you. It's a nightmare, and Krauser even had a laugh by spawning in the freezer room as well? It's whatever. Luckily, I didn't die, and I had enough heals to get by. But after all that, I really needed to rebuild my health, and I still needed to rebuild my ammo for the inevitable 5-2 and 5-4. At this rate, I needed the game to turn around the luck on the enemy spawns. Next room had tripwires and an Iron Maiden, who was actually very easy to dodge by just baiting them around this whiteboard.
Such an idiot!
And then it's the actual Iron Maiden room, which was replaced by a Gyarados. Now, he didn't have that much health, but I did get stuck on a wall, and I almost had Leon's head turned into an ornament. That would have been pretty tragic. With 5-1 done, the next chapter started with probably one of the scariest things in the entire run. This chainsaw guy with his silenced chainsaw. If he didn't decide to aggro towards Ashley instead of Leon, for whatever reason, I don't know why he did that, it quite certainly would have been the end. Oh my god, man! Stop! And the scares didn't stop there. Super Salvador spawned behind Ashley and I after jumping down the garbage chute, but luckily, he had to start his chainsaw first before attacking. And then the wrecking ballroom. Oh boy. When I tell you that Ashley was frames away from dying, I mean it. This was the scariest thing for me, because I had absolutely no choice but to run a direction and hope that Ashley would just stick to Leon. Thankfully, that's what she did, and I was able to chuck a grenade to calm things down a bit. But funny enough, now that I'm looking back at this footage, I actually almost shot Ashley through this window. That would have been nuts. Anyways, crisis averted, and after handling the room the best that I possibly could, the game gave me a break, and it didn't spawn a boss or a mini-boss for this hallway. It was time for Ashley to just take the wheel. But there are two big issues with this. A lot of the time, at least in my experience while I was doing this, the enemies that spawn here just don't like dropping ammo. They're incredibly squishy and easy to kill, but it doesn't really matter when they can drop out of thin air, which is the next problem. The room where you have to power the platform with the lever can actually spawn enemies in thin air right over Ashley. Therefore, I am forced to jump back down to the vehicle as soon as I climb the ladder and spawn all of the enemies. At that point, I have to sit and wait until I am 100% sure that all of them are dead, because if even one of them touches Ashley, she dies. This also led to me having practically no ammo, but, well, at least we didn't die. 5-3 was starting off strong with Plagos that I can simply run past, and the Krauser cutscene that I had not watched in days. Getting here felt great, and also getting good luck on the first U3 area also felt great. But there's something that needs explaining here in this area. You're probably wondering how exactly U3 is going to work, since I certainly don't have enough ammo. Well, you're right, I don't have enough ammo. But I do have incendiary grenades and a knife, so I'll let you watch and learn how it's done. Alright, here we go. I honestly don't have enough incendiary grenades to even do this the way that I want to, so if you are unfamiliar with how to fight U3 in a no merchant run, well, buckle up. Well, actually, okay. Are you gonna come out, or are you just gonna keep fucking... Alright. Bro! No way! Oh, there he is. I couldn't run by him, I guess. Alright, well... He's nervous. He's like, oh shit. He's got the strats. I mean, he got a hit on me, though. Whoa. I gave him a confidence boost. I let him hit me for a confidence boost. There it is. He's coming out early now. There it is. Yeah. Oh shit. And that's how you beat U3 No Merchant. Not entirely smooth, but that's exactly how to get it done. Funny enough, 3 Verdugos showed up to avenge U3's embarrassing defeat, but he wasn't able to get me. After that, it was Krauser's time. Now before we face off, I have to be very careful of the pit at the bottom of the tower. Sometimes you can get a surprise one-shot enemy here and get caught off guard. Now that almost happened with a double bad spawn of crossbows and JJs. This is actually one of the worst combination of enemies that you could possibly get in any room in this game. The worst case scenario is from stun locks. If JJs or crossbows end up trading hits without you being able to go into your menu and heal, you're dead. Even at fully upgraded health, this is an issue. So yeah, I was pretty scared, and I had to use all of my flash nades. Even though that was very disappointing, I was still alive. I was gonna knife the crap out of Krauser. Now, it would be beneficial if a different boss spawned for Salazar or U3, but in this case, I'm glad one doesn't spawn in place of Krauser. This fight is easy peasy if you know the speed strat. And, well, I certainly do. Bada bing, bada boom, 5-4. Here we come. When I started this chapter, I knew that this could be it. That it could finally be the run that I was looking for. I took a moment to gather myself, which, some would call stalling. But yeah, 5-4. You see all those heals? All of those heals, yeah, kiss those goodbye, because this is the area where you just get hit over and over and over. Allow me to demonstrate. It's so brutal, but I was prepared. When it was time to enter that last war room, I took as much time as I needed to kill all of the stragglers. And while I was doing that, Mike got in on the action and actually shot down both of the turret towers for me. When that happened, I knew it was time to capitalize and just get the hell out of this room. With that nightmare over, the game didn't crash, and all I had to do now was make it through 2 more dangerous rooms. The keycard room, and the room right before ridding the Plaga from Leon and Ashley's bodies. The keycard room was one of the worst spawns. It was just a ton of rocket launchers, and to be quite honest, even though I had enough heals to deal with this, I think I got really lucky with this enemy activity here. They could have locked me down with alternating rocket hits, which would have surely just insta-killed me, but I was able to only get hit with single rockets at a time, which allowed me to heal. After a flash and some slick dodges, Mendez and his dogs said their goodbyes, and I used my last tactical checkpoint reset to reposition Ashley. Upon checking my ammo count, my remaining heals, and my 2 hand grenades, I had a wave of confidence wash over me. I had it in the bag, as long as Sadler didn't give me the infinite combo again. It was time to put this challenge to rest, and get my revenge. Okay, I have 3 full heals. I need to be full health, just in case. I have 2 nades, 6 shotgun shell. There's more in the arena. I have plenty. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. This is it. This is it. Okay. Whoa! Man, I didn't even see that. This man's eating my heels. Okay. I have to run past him right now. Oh, no, I don't. I don't have to run past him. Take the bridge, take the bridge. What's he doing? He's picking up more. Okay, that's fine. Bro. Oh shit! Oh fuck. That hurt. Run this way. Let's give him a good old stun, yeah? We'll stun him and then we'll fucking shoot the rocket, dude. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, dude. Yeah. Yes. Get this shotgun out. Actually, don't discard the shotgun. It's been with us the whole way through. Shotgun deserves to stay. Fuck you. Fuck you, Sadler. Fuck you, dude. Fuck you for that first time. That first fucking day of attempts where I got all the way here and you fucking Wombo Infinite comboed me. That's what you get. Huh? Currently, yes. I just need to not die on the jet ski. And that was it. I had finally completed the Resident Evil 4 randomizer on professional difficulty without dying and without using the merchant. Despite my many hours spent playing this game in hundreds of different ways, this randomizer is so unpredictable and dangerous. One bad group of enemies, one silent chainsaw, one wrong move, and it's all over. That, along with relying on having enough supplies to take down Salazar, U3, and Sadler, That's what made this so challenging. But you know, I love challenges like these, and I'll continue to push my favorite games further. So yeah, make sure you're subscribed here, as well as follow me on Twitch so you can watch all of that crazy stuff happen. I also have a lot of really cool speedrun documentary videos here on YouTube, which I'll hopefully have a few of those coming out with the remainder of the year. I apologize for being quite slow with some of those. Yeah, I just have not been super active on YouTube, so I do apologize, and I really appreciate everybody's patience here, especially if you are just not keen on watching me on Twitch. With that said, thank you so much for watching, much love to you, and take care.